Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, Text 38. We have been reading the wonderful benedictions that one gets when one hears or chants the glories, the pastimes of Pṛthu Mahārāja. Vaichitya Virya Vihitam
Vichitra Virya Abhihitam
Mahan Mahatmya Suchakam
Mahat Mahatyam Suchakam
Asmin Kritam Atimartyam
Asmin Kritam Ati Martyam
Arthavim Gatim Apnuya.
Parthavim Gatim Apnuya.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, I have as far as possible spoken the narrations about Pṛthu Mahārāja, which enrich one's devotional attitude. Whoever takes advantage of these benefits also goes back home, back to Godhead, like Mahārāja Pṛthu. The word Shravaye, mentioned in a previous verse indicates that one should not only read for himself, but should also induce others to read and hear. That is called preaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this practice. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Whomever you meet, simply talk with him about the instructions given by Krishna, or tell him of narrations about Krishna. Caitaniya Caritamita Madhya 7:128. Pṛthu Mahārāja's history of devotional service is as potent as narrations about the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not make distinctions between the pastimes of the Lord and the activities of Pṛthu Mahārāja, and whenever it is possible, a devotee should attempt to induce others to hear about Pṛthu Mahārāja. One should not only read of his pastimes for one's own benefit, but should induce others to read and hear about them also. In this way, everyone can be benefited. So, Yare Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh, inducing others to hear. Of course, sometimes it may be appreciated, sometimes it may not be appreciated. So, it's recommended that the Madhyam Adhikari, the Madhya devotee, he chooses whom he wants to give mercy to. He stays away from the atheists, means the people who don't want to hear. And if he sees that someone has an inclination to hear about Krishna, he speaks to him the glories of Krishna. Okay. Anudinamidam adarena shranvan
Anudinam idam adera shranvam
Pṛthu charitam prathayan vimukta sangha
Pṛthu
Charitam Pratayan
Sangha
Bhagavati bhava sindhu potapade
Bhagavati Bhavasindhu Potapade
Sacha nipunam labate rate manushya.
Sacha Nipunam Lapate Ratim Manusha.
Whoever with great reverence and adoration regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Mahārāja Pṛthu's activities will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of nations. The word Bhava Sindhu Potapade is very significant in this verse. The lotus feet of the Lord are known as Mahat Padam. This means that the total source of material existence rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. the entire material creation is resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Everything is emanating from Him. This cosmic manifestation, which is compared to an ocean of nations, is also resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. As such, this great ocean of nations is minimized by a person who is a pure devotee. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord need not cross over the ocean, for he has already crossed it by virtue of his position at the Lord's lotus feet. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 14, Devi hi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyate maya metam tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of three modes of nature, it's very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders to me can very easily cross beyond it. So same is being said here in Bhagavatam, taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So Prabhupada is pointing out one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is already crossed the ocean. Means he's already liberated. Because he's at the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are not in the material world. So if we want instant liberation, easy, quick liberation, we need only to surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna. By hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord or the Lord's devotee, one can become firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So one may say, oh, how can I serve the Lord? How can I become a pure devotee? Yeah, by hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting what? Glories of the Lord and His pure devotee. This is what we need to hear. We like to hear and chant about some movie star. We like to hear and chant about some politician. But that's not, okay, sure, we do that. We need some kind of entertainment that we do. But if we really want to get out of the material world, hear and chant of the Lord or His devotee. This position can also be achieved very easily by narrating the history of the life of Pṛthu Mahārāja regularly every day. The word Vimukta Sangha is also significant in this connection because we associate with the three qualities of material nature. Our position in this material world is full of dangers. But when we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, by the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, we immediately become Vimukta Sangha, or liberated. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 4th Canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Mahārāja Pṛthu's Going Back Home. So by hearing and chanting, we can get liberated. People may try to get some process by which, try to find some process by which to get liberated. Here, Bhagavatam is telling us we want liberation. We can get it by hearing and chanting about the Lord and His devotees. So here, Pṛthu Mahārāja's pastimes finish, and we said we are going to reread the translations. So it starts from 15th chapter, and then do you all want to take turns reading?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
So is it
maybe we can
15th
take
chapter
10.
from the other canto?
Huh?
Is it? 15th chapter from the other canto? Is it? From the 4th canto, right? From the 4th canto, 15th chapter.
That's right.
Oh,
4th
okay.
canto. Yeah, it's there on the screen because that's where the
Actually,
appearance of
something happened. I can't see
appearance.
the screen.
Okay. 15th, 4th canto, 15th chapter, King Pṛthu's appearance and coronation. And we could take maybe how many, we could take turns, how many you all want to read? 20,
Yeah. Text by text, right? One text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20,
Maybe
11.
one chapter. Maybe one chapter. I mean, if Snehaji is reading now, then she
Yeah.
can, read the chapter. I think chapter is much better.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. Sneha, you want to start?
Yeah. But
Okay.
can I see the first chapter, what the title is?
Yeah.
राजा पृथु की उत्पत्ति और राज्य अभिषेक.
King
That is in the
Pṛthu's
Hindi.
appearance and
Yeah,
coronation.
chapter 15.
Coronation. Chapter 15.
And coronation. Text
Yeah.
1. Great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, thus the Brahmanas and the great sages again churned the two arms of King Vena's dead body. As a result, a male and female couple came out of his arms. Text 2. The great sages were highly learned in Vedic knowledge. When they saw the male and female born of the arms of Vena's body, they were very pleased, for they could understand that the couple was an expansion of a plenary portion of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 3. The great sages said, The male is a plenary expansion of the power of Lord Vishnu, who maintains the entire universe, and the female is a plenary expansion of the goddess of fortune, who is never separated from the Lord. Text 4. One of the two, the male, will be able to expand his reputation throughout the world. His name will be Pṛthu. Indeed, he will be the first among kings. Text 5. The female has such beautiful teeth and beautiful qualities that she will actually beautify the ornaments she wears. Her name will be Archi. In the future, she will accept King Pṛthu as her husband. Text 6. In the form of King Pṛthu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared through a part of his potency to protect the people of the world. The goddess of fortune is the constant companion of the Lord, and therefore she has incarnated partially as Archi to become King Pṛthu's queen. Text 7. The great sage met My dear Vidurji, at that time all the Brahmanas highly praised and glorified King Pṛthu, and the best singers of Gandharvalok chanted his glories. The inhabitants of Siddhalok showered flowers, and the beautiful women in the heavenly planets danced in ecstasy. Text 8. Conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums vibrated in outer space. Great sages, forefathers, and personalities from the heavenly planets all came to Earth from various planetary systems. Text 9 and 10. Lord Brahma, the master of the entire universe, arrived there accompanied by all the demigods and their chiefs. Seeing the lines of Lord Vishnu's palm on King Pṛthu's right hand and impressions of lotus flowers on the soles of his feet, Lord Brahma could understand that King Pṛthu was a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one whose palm bears the sign of a disk, as well as other such lines should be considered a partial representation or incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Text 11. All the learned Brahmanas who were very attached to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies then arranged for the king's coronation. People from all directions collected all the different paraphernalia for the ceremony. Thus, everything was complete. Text 12. All the rivers, seas, hills, mountains, serpents, cows, birds, animals, heavenly planets, the earthly planet, and all other living entities collected various presentations according to their ability to offer the king. Text 13. Thus the great king Pṛthu, exquisitely dressed with garments and ornaments, was coronated and placed on the throne. The king and his wife Archie, who was also exquisitely ornamented, appeared exactly like fire. Text 14. The great sage continued, My dear Vidur, Kuvera presented the great king Pṛthu with a golden throne. The demigod Varuna presented him with an umbrella that constantly sprayed fine particles of water and was as brilliant as the moon. Text 15. The demigod of air, Vayu, presented King Pṛthu with two whisk chamaras of hair. The king of religion, Dharma, presented him with a flower garland which would expand his fame. The king of heaven, Indra, presented him with a valuable helmet, and the superintendent of death, Yamaraj, presented him with a scepter with which to rule the world. Text 16. Lord Brahma presented King Pṛthu with a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. Bharati Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, gave him a transcendental necklace. Lord Vishnu presented him with a Sudarshan disc, and Lord Vishnu's wife, the goddess of fortune, gave him imperishable opulences. Text 17. Lord Shiva presented him with a sword within a sheath marked with 10 moons, and his wife, the goddess Durga, presented him with a shield marked with 100 moons. The moon demigod presented him with horses made of nectar, and the demigod Vishwakarma presented him with a very beautiful chariot. Text 18. The demigod of fire, Agni, presented him with a bow made of the horns of goats and cows. The sun god presented him with arrows as brilliant as sunshine. The predominating deity of Burlok presented him with slippers full of mystic power. The demigods from outer space brought him presentations of flowers again and again. Text 19. The demigods who always traveled in outer space gave King Pṛthu the arts to perform dramas, sing songs, play musical instruments, and disappear at his will. The great sages also offered him infallible blessings. The ocean offered him a conch shell produced from the ocean. Text 20. The seas, mountains, and rivers gave him room to drive his chariot without impediments, and a Suta, a Magada, and a Vandi offered prayers and praises. They all presented themselves before him to perform their respective duties. Text 21. Thus, when the greatly powerful King Pṛthu, the son of Vena, saw the professionals before him to congratulate them, he smiled, and with the gravity of the vibrating sounds of clouds, he spoke as follows. King Text 22. King Pṛthu said, O gentle Suta, Magad, and other devotee offering prayers, the qualities of which you have spoken are not distinct in me. Why then should you praise me for all these qualities when I do not shelter these features? I do not wish for these words meant for me to go in vain, but it is better that they be offered to someone else. Text 23. O gentle reciters, Offer such prayers in due course of time, when the qualities of which you have spoken actually manifest themselves in me. The gentle who offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not attribute such qualities to a human being who does not actually have them. Text 24. How could an intelligent man, competent enough to possess such exalted qualities, allow his followers to praise him if he did not actually have them? Praising a man by saying that if he were educated, he might have become a great scholar or great personality is nothing but a process of cheating. A foolish person who agrees to accept such praise does not know that such words simply insult him. Text 25. As a person with a sense of honor and magnanimity does not like to hear about his abominable, abominable actions. A person who is very famous and powerful does not like to hear himself praised. Text 26. King Pṛthu continued, my dear devotees, headed by the sutta, just now I am not very famous for my personal activities because I have not done anything praiseworthy you could glorify. Therefore, how could I engage you in praising my activities exactly like children?
So, who would like to read the next chapter?
I can read the next chapter. I can read it in
But we
Hindi.
almost time. Oh, but it's almost time up.
Oh, yeah, it's almost time.
Yeah, just noticed. So tomorrow
Oh.
then?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Pṛthu Mahārāja ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai,
Which,
और भक्तों की जय। हरे